Welcome back to the Montana Garage. Now that we're all caught up with the past and we're living in the future and the present now, no more going back in time. We're gonna move forward from here, folks. Our current goal is Big Sky Race Week coming up on June 16th here in the beautiful state of Montana. 5 days of dragging and driving across the state. I have a driving car, so shouldn't be a problem, right? Well, I do have quite a list of things to do that need to be done to get the car actually really ready and hopefully make the week a success. So come on back, we'll see what's on the list. We'll see where I'm at and what we gotta do to get where we're going. All right, let's get caught up to speed, shall we? I have been out here making some small improvements, I think I called them in the other video, to the car over the last, I don't know, a couple weeks. I haven't been able to spend a ton of time out here, but I've been doing some stuff. So let's take a quick walk around the car and we'll see exactly where we're at right now. Starting here in the trunk, didn't really do much back here, but I did pull the rear seats out and paint them, and while I did that, I painted the back of the rear seat. I think there's actually a panel that you can put right there, but before that, this was like kind of burlap and just kind of brown colored. I squirted it with some black paint because I was painting the front of the seats. So that's done back there. I got this rear package tray that I put in. This was, it's just like a little cardboard piece I got from Summit. It's like a Danchuk part, and it was just sitting here before. I had to cut it around the roll bar, and I didn't do a great job of cutting it, and therefore, there was big gaps around the roll bar, so I bought some cheesy little carbon fiber trim and put that in there. I had to kind of screw it down. Got my Tri-5 mob plate in the back. Thanks, David. Like I said, I painted the rear seats. These were red. I had painted them before, but you could still see the red showing through. So I took them out and gave them another squirt of some black. And while I was doing that, darn if I didn't break my rear window there. It's like a game of Tetris or something, trying to get the seat out from the roll bar here. So apparently I got a little close to the window with a little too much muscle, and well, bam, she broke. So no worries though. All new glass is not only on the way, it's here in a big old box. So new glass coming up for the Baremetal 55 real soon. If you look over there, you can see I have the chrome vent, and I actually have a kick panel. That's this guy. This is for this side. I had it installed. Actually, I've had it installed twice already, but I have to keep taking it out to do other things. So right now, I'm currently working on sanding the door jambs so we can, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to squirt these with some gray epoxy, hoping it'll kind of match, you know, the car. And then if and when I do paint the car, they already got a good solid base on them or a foundation that I'll just have to scuff that gray epoxy up and then either shoot a little more epoxy, or maybe I'll be able to just put whatever color paint I ever paint it right on top of that. There is a ton of sanding that's involved with this. You can see I got various tools. Yeah, I think I decided this side is as done as it's gonna get. So we're moving on to the next side. That'll be coming up real soon. I installed my headliner, which is just boom matte. I don't know if I'll ever put a real headliner in this or not, but this is just kind of some of that rubberized kind of sound deadening. But I mean, she sounds like a rock when you tap on it. I put some of that in the door, and I was gonna put some back here, but there's kind of some factory kind of felt stuff that's still in there and it wouldn't stick to it. Screwed down my shifter boot. My clutch had some free play in it. It's like a solid piece. There's the arm, and then there's a piece it's pressed into, and that's supposed to be solid, but over the years that's broke loose a little bit there, and so I could move the clutch pedal maybe an inch or two before the actual arm started moving. So I had to put that where it was and weld it in place. Installed the wiper motor. I had to take the wiper motor apart and reinstall the brushes. That's kind of a little trick, but I figured out how to do it. This is the windshield wiper switch. It doesn't work. So we have toggle switch method. That's supposed to work. I'm guessing the key needs to be on. Maybe that's my problem. Key on. Yep, now wiper. I don't have the wiper blades, but the wiper motor is spinning away there. Let's see what else. Oh, getting fancy. Got a horn. And thanks to David Bacon in the Tri-5 mob, I got sun visors. I had one decent one and one pretty shredded up one. David said he had some other ones, so he sent them to me. One of his was pretty good and one was not so good, so between the combination I used one of mine and one of his, so now we can keep the sun out of our eyes. I made a makeshift radio block off plate. I might put a radio in here someday, but this is an old piece of dash trim from a 57 Chevy that I had laying around. I don't even know. Carmelo, you might have sent that to me if you're watching. Thanks, buddy. It was kind of messed up and I thought, well, I'll use it for this. I think it looks maybe a little better than a hole there. I need to do something better in the future, but for now that's it. And it's not a Bel Air, even though it says so twice within 2 foot of each other. Took the valve covers off because there was no baffles in them and oil was coming out of the vented cap here and getting oil all over this stuff at higher RPMs. It was coming out of there. So these valve covers didn't have a baffle, but they did have like some bosses or whatever built into them. So I made a little plate to go in there, and I wrote 55's rule on it. So there you go. That's my baffle on that side. There's actually one on the other side over there too, but it goes to a PCV valve, so oil wasn't coming out of there, but it was probably getting sucked into the carburetor. While I had the valve covers off, I had a little bit of valve train noise. I think on that side it seemed worse, so I ran through and adjusted all the valves or the rocker arms. There was one that was a little bit looser. I think almost all of them I tightened up a little bit, and one was a little bit looser over there. This thing has roller tip rockers on it, and they're kind of noisy anyways, but there was a little extra clatter from that side. I started it up and it does sound a little better, so we'll see. I haven't really, driven it or anything. I think maybe it seems like there's other stuff I did, but guess that's what I remember for right now. So that's where we're at, and let's look at the list. Man, I have a long... How did that list get so big? My car's basically done, isn't it? All right, you ready for some super exciting content? We're gonna read a list together. Hopefully it won't be too bad because I'll elaborate. That's the big word of the day from the Montana Garage. We're gonna elaborate on each item in the list, and I'll tell you what it's all about and why we gotta do it. So here we go. You probably can't read my writing, and I can barely read it. So I got a carb issue. I don't know if I've talked about this in the video too much. As I was driving the car last summer, it didn't seem like it was like it at first, but then it got a little worse where I have like an off-idle stumble. I'm not a carb expert, but I've watched a lot of videos and I've read some I don't know if I read any books, but I read some articles. It's usually like the accelerator pump or the accelerated pump cam or the squirters. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but I've messed with a ton of that stuff. I'd messed with all the stuff that the books or the articles and the videos say to do. And no matter what I do, I can't make it go away. So I need to mess with that some more. But for a long-term solution, I went ahead and ordered a different carburetor because even if I can get this one fixed, it's a vacuum secondary, and I think you get a little better all-out performance with the double pumper. So I ordered an ATM carburetor. The problem with that is they don't just have them on the shelf. They make it when you order it apparently, or they're 4 weeks behind. So it's gonna be a while before I get it. So I got a 750 double pumper from ATM. I figure if it's good enough for the old man's garage and street racing channel, it's good enough for Montana Garage. We'll do some carb tuning in the meantime. Hopefully I can get it better, and then I'll have like a spare or one I can sell, or I don't know, with my luck, it's probably not even the carburetor. I'll get the new carburetor on there and let's do the same thing. Glass, we just talked about that. I got glass sitting here. I'm gonna do a few more things before I install it. I have no idea how to install the windshield and the back glass. I don't have it, or even the side glass, but I'll figure it out. I'll look at some videos. I'm sure I can do the side glass stuff by myself. I'll have to get some expert or even non-expert, just somebody that's done it before to help put the back window on the front the windshield. The car needs an alignment. I have one scheduled. Like everything else, it's like a month away. The car does still have an oil leak from the oil pan. Now, this has been quite a freaking debacle. I started out with putting a new gasket on the engine. When it was out of the car, I used a Felpro one-piece oil pan gasket. If you guys watch the videos, you know all about this. I used the wrong gasket. It had the thin front seal. It leaked pretty bad. Before I realized it was the wrong one, I just dropped the nose of the pan down and put RTV or whatever in there, stuck it back together. It still leaked. Then I bought the correct gasket, put it back together, still leaked. Then I bought new oil pan, new timing cover, the correct gasket, put it back together, and guess what? It still friggin' leaks. I just went under there and tightened all the bolts a little bit more. I think last time I did that too, and then it actually started leaking through one of the bolt holes because I tightened it up too much, and that's probably where it's at now. I've ran the car a little bit just in the shop, and I have to drive it to be able to see. I mean, it's not like a gushing oil leak, but it's just seeping out of, actually it looks like it's seeping out of both where the front and the rear seals are. I've done a lot of research on this. People either like they install those one-piece gaskets and they never have a leak and they're the greatest thing in the world, or you have tons of people like me that can't get them to seal no matter what. If I have to drop it back off there, I'm going to either go back to the old school 3-piece gasket, or there are a couple other brands besides Felpro that maybe I'll give it a try. The oil leak fiasco continues. We'll address that hopefully in the next couple weeks. Rear bumper. I am not going to run a front bumper on the car because I think it's cooler without it. I had front and rear bumpers for the car. Well, I gave Brian, my buddy Brian, he's got a 55 Chevy. He's got kind of a patina look going on with it. I'll maybe insert some pictures right here. Boom. All right, that's a pretty cool looking car, huh? The front and the rear bumper were from my car. Said I gave him the front one first because I'm just not gonna run a front bumper. And then I decided, I kind of held the rear bumper up here, and my car is so pristine in show quality. Not. I wanted a new looking bumper. Actually, I want the one-piece bumper. So I ordered a new one. It's on the way, and I got the chrome one piece so it doesn't have like the little, what are they called? The little, the little things that stick up. They have a name. I don't know what it is right now. Receiver hitch needs installed. I have somewhere in the pile over here, I have a receiver hitch, so I need to figure out how to install that because the next thing is buy or build a trailer or a hitch rack because for drag and drive, I need to take spare tires, probably, a compressor and The brain just quits working. Compressor and a generator. I have to air down the tires to change them. If it's gonna rain, if there's any chance of rain, which there'll be a chance of rain, I don't wanna drive, I have basically DOT slicks on this thing, so they're not good for driving in the rain. And so anyways, I'm gonna need to change tires for the drag and drive. I just don't have room for them, so I gotta build some sort of rack or get a trailer. So anyways, long story short, timing tape, advanced curve, timing work. A balancer has 2 timing marks on it. And I can't quite figure out exact top dead center. You can get like a little piston stop to put in your number 1 hole, and then you turn the engine over by hand until it touches it, and then you go the other way until it touches it, and then right in the middle of that is top dead center. So I wanted to check that out, but I don't have a bolt in the center of my crankshaft. The balancer is just press fit on, and I should have, while I had it out, I should have tapped it out and put a bolt in there, but I didn't. And so I tried turning this thing over. I had all the plugs out when I was messing with the valve covers. I can't turn it over by hand. I have no access with that Lakewood bell housing scatter shield thing. There's no access to the flywheel without taking the whole world apart down there. So there's no way to turn it over from down there. And all I can do is try to grab a hold of this and the belts, and I can't turn it over by hand, and you don't want to turn it over with the starter and jam it into the piston stop thing. I don't know how to, I know how to put my finger in the hole and have it blow off and know I'm close to top dead center, but there's 2 marks like this far away from each other, and I don't know exactly which one is actually top dead center. I think I know, but I don't know exactly. So anyways, I have it kind of, I have it timed, I have it running by ear. It's got high compression in it, so I can't go too advanced because then I get like pinging and stuff. Anyways, I want to play with that because I'm almost afraid that maybe the timing and the advanced curve has something to do with the big bog off the line. It's not always the carburetor's fault, I guess. So I've played with that a little bit as well with no luck. So that's, long story short, not really short because it took forever, what we got to do with that. If I can figure out exactly where top dead center is, then I bought me some timing tape so I can put that on there. Apparently like the dial back timing lights don't work very well with the MSD boxes or something. Hopefully we can get something figured out with that. Adjust the rockers, already did that. Install a wiper motor, already did that. I needed to put a cotter key in some of the brake assembly down there, I did that. Weld the clutch linkage, I had to do that, already done. Exhaust system. Right now I just have the old glass pack headers mounted, or glass pack mufflers mounted to the headers, and a little short piece of exhaust pipe, and the exhaust ends under the car, so I'm getting like an exhaust smell in the car. So I need to put some exhaust on it. I've never done exhaust work before, and I should probably just take it somewhere, but I'm not that smart. So I just got a big box of exhaust pieces right here. Well, bam, 2.5 inch exhaust. Side mirrors, well, bam. Ordered some, just got them yesterday, haven't put them on. Doing the painting on the door jambs. So I went with these peep type mirrors. I don't know, I guess it's just personal preference because that's what kind of Gordy has on the 57 here, and I've seen those. The ones I got are a little different, but same theory. Instead of a mirror mounted down here in the door, it mounts on the arm up here. I'm not totally sold on the look of them. I threw one on just to look at it. I'll probably go with them, I guess. But anyways, that's that. This is the big one right here, Gear Vendor Overdrive. Green check because it is ordered. I ordered one. I admittedly have no experience with the Gear Vendor Overdrive, but in my research, I decided with, that's the way I wanted to go. And there's a few different reasons. First of all, people said, well, you should just get a, TKO or TKX. I don't know what they are. I don't know the difference, 5 or 6 speed. And that'd be cool. My buddy Brian, that car I showed you, he's got, can't remember, Brian, you got the 5 or the 6 speed? One or the other. He's got one of them fancy transmissions in there, and that car is like a rocket ship. So it's cool. I haven't got to drive it, but I rode with him. It's pretty fun. It's not really what I'm going for. I'm kind of going for the old school type look, feel. When I get in, I like the feel of the kind of like the Hearst shifter and stuff. That's what I grew up driving, and I don't want it to be like the little modern shifter. That's what I wanted. So just kind of the look and the feel was one of the reasons. The other thing is doing drag and drives. I've heard a lot of those, the TKOs or TKXs, their gear ratios aren't really that great for racing. I don't know if that's true, but I read that, or whose opinion that was, but I read that, so that kind of turned me off on them. And with the gear vendors, for those that don't know, it's a overdrive unit that mounts on the back of your transmission. So like the tail shaft, the transmission will come off, the gear vendor will go on. It will lengthen the overall transmission a little bit, so I'll have to get the driveline shortened. I will also have to probably redo my drive shaft loop that we just did last fall. And what it does is it gives you, you still got your 4 speeds, but you have a little button you push. And so each gear kind of has first gear and first gear overdrive, second gear overdrive. Now you wouldn't really shift through it like that, but when you're drag racing, it gives you one clutchless shift. So you can leave the line in first and then hit the button, and that's almost kind of like your 1-2 shift. And now you're in one overdrive, and then you don't go back and forth on the overdrive, but then then when you shift into you know, actual shift the shifter into second, then you go to 2 overdrive. It's supposed to make it a little better on the drag strip. I don't know. I've never used one. I haven't been on a drag strip since I was like 19 years old or something stupid. So I don't know what I'm doing, but that's why I decided to go with it. They're expensive as all get out, but this thing's got 456 gears. And I want to be able to drive it like a car too, you know, doing the drag and drive or just driving around town. I got tall tires, so it's not super, super bad, but you know, we're looking at, you know, 3,200 RPM for 60 miles an hour or something, and that gets old fast. So having that overdrive, I think, is really going to make the car much more enjoyable to drive. Like everything else, they're 4 or 5 weeks away, so I ordered it maybe a week ago. I'm not going to take the transmission out or anything yet. I'm going to wait until that's either here or almost here, and then we'll start preparing to put it in. So like I said, I got a running driving car, but I got to kind of go backwards and take some stuff apart. We should have plenty of time to do what we got to do. Let's go back to the list and see what else. That was a long list. I'm only halfway done. Tranny rebuild maybe question mark. The transmission does pop out a second gear, and also I've noticed as the car's been sitting here over the winter that it leaks a little bit out of the rear seal, and then like one of the intermediate gaskets where the cases go together. I should probably get that rebuilt. I've looked into it. It seems like it's something that's not too tough. I've just never done it before. That's a question whether, I mean, it works. I got to hold it in second gear, so I'd rather get it done. So it kind of depends on what it's going to cost and the time. I should just do it while it's out. So I'm going to plan on doing it. We'll see if I can make it happen. Install the shift boot. I did that. Rear package tray. I did that. Kick panels and vent covers. I've did that. Actually, I've done that twice already. And then like you see, one of them's already out of there. And then the other one's got to come out so I can paint the door jambs, and then we'll put them back. It's easy to do. So heater motor housing. That's another thing I did recently is there's like the squirrel cage or the housing over the heater motor. I couldn't find that when I was putting that all together. I found it not too long ago, so I cleaned it up and painted it, put that in. I still don't have a heater core though, so I don't have a heater still. Check the clutch adjustment. Before I did that welding thing, the clutch was kind of squealing and I had to adjust it down to keep the pedals level, and it was just releasing weird, but it feels much better now once I welded that back together, so I don't have that free play in there, but I haven't driven it yet, so we got to check that out. And then also it may have affected the clutch switch timing. I have a clutch switch down there. I've talked about that in the other video, so I got to check that out. Valve cover baffles I've done. Exterior trim, interior trim. There's a lot of my trim right there in the rafters. And no, that's Chevelle stuff, but there's some stuff scattered around. I got to figure out what I do have, what I don't have. I think I'm going to try to get the trim on it before a race week. Yeah, that's that. I got most of the interior trim. I just ordered some trim screws so I can put that stuff together. Like I said, I put the wiper motor on, but I have wiper blades. The arms, I probably got to get new rubbers or blades for them, figure that out. Install front inner fender pieces. Oh, that's another thing I did. These guys right here. Those are usually one piece with the inner fender well here. I decided not to run those for a couple different reasons. And so I cut them off and I had to paint these like 3 times because I kept getting that fisheye stuff. And then, yeah, I was having issues, but we got them painted, we got them put in. We got a few more bolts in the whole front end, so everything is solid as a rock and put together. Install and wire the horn, check, I did that. So I'll have to shorten the drive shaft and get a new drive shaft loop. We talked about that a little bit. Boom mats installed. Weld or paint the steering connection. So I did it steering column, and you cut the 55 column. When you do that, so that is right here. So I had this stuff all together, but I wanted to drive it a little bit and everything seemed good. So I welded it right there, and then I threw some black paint on it. Painted black, get it on the track, right? Grease the front end, I did all that. Talked about the sun visors, I did that. Little thing, just paint the throttle linkage. When I got the carburetor off there next time, messing with that, I'll pull that apart because it's kind of got some yellow paint and I don't know, just needs cleaned up. We got to make a list of stuff for race week. We got to do the door jambs, which we're working on right now. Once we get the door jambs painted or actually epoxy primed, then I have weather stripping and window fuzzies. I already have that stuff, and repaint rear seats already done. So, whew. Man, that is a list. Although there are a lot of items on the list, most of them are pretty small. I mean, the gear vendor is the only real issue because obviously the transmission's got to come out, and that's not even, I've already done that a couple times, so it's not a big deal. It's just rather not do it if you don't have to. And of course, I got to figure out how to put all that together, and it'll need some wiring, and I'm sure it's stuff we can figure out. And then we're working on the door jambs now, and then we'll just start checking things off the list. Like I guess building the exhaust will be probably the next hardest thing. I want to get started on that, but I almost wonder if I need to wait until I have the gear vendor to figure out where the cross member is going to be. And hopefully it won't be an issue because it should be all in the center versus the side, and the exhaust should go underneath the cross member regardless of where it is. So anyways, I'm just rambling, trying to think out loud. So we got to do that. Other than that, I mean, everything else is just, nothing's really big, all the big and busy stuff is done. All the parts have been ordered. The car is, I mean, with all the money I just spent or all the parts I just ordered, I mean, there's nothing, I don't want to say nothing. There's not really anything left I need to do. So there are the other things that will eventually cost money down the road are, one, paint if and when I decide to paint it. Interior, more interior work, like I don't have door panels or headliner, that sort of stuff, and I don't know if I ever will, but if I decide to do that, you know, that'll take a little bit of money and taking some stuff apart. And then the other thing will be if and when I decide to put more power in it. I built the car to be able to go, it should be legal to run 10s, and it's not going to run anywhere close to that right now. If we ever want to put a little more power in it so we can get to those 10s, you know, that'll be the other big cost. But the theory is, once I do this stuff, I'm kind of done with this car, and I want to drive it and use it and race it, and then start working on the 57 and the Chevy that's in the other garage. That's what's coming up after all this Big Sky Race Week stuff. I've been yammering for I don't know how long in this video. If anybody's still here, we're done talking now. Let's get to work. All right, so next step or continued step is Operation Strip the Door Jams. So I think the order of operation for this is going to be, and I don't know for sure how it's going to work out, but we're going to go to the other side and get it all ready to prime. I don't know when I'm going to actually spray it. It depends on the weather and how much time I have. I'm not looking forward to the masking process for this, so I got to figure out how I'm going to tackle all that. So I think what I'm probably going to do, because I'm going to have to get inside to mask it properly, I believe. So we're probably going to have to do like one at a time, because if I have to come from, you know, the inside, I'll come from over there to mask it, and then I won't be able to mask that one because I won't be able to come in from over here. You know what I mean? It's like a one at a time deal. There's probably a way to do it, and the guys that know how to do it probably do it some other way, but I think what I'm going to do is I'll have them both ready to go. We'll plan on doing them both like in the same day or whatever, but I'll mask this one, spray it, and then once it's done, then we'll mask that one and spray it. Does that sound reasonable to you guys that know what you're doing? I've never painted door jams. I probably should take the doors off, but I'm going to try to avoid that. I know you can drill some holes and put some pins in them to get the alignment right, but this is not, we're not going for show car quality. We're trying to get rid of the yellow and the orange door jams. And I realize, you know, my coverage might be a little limited in here, but I should be able to get most of it good enough. And it might require a little extra masking, but I really just don't want to take the doors off. Didn't I say enough yammering? And here I am yammering. Let's get to work. All right, I threw one of the peep mirrors on. What do you think? I'm not totally sold for sure, but I think it looks okay. Like I said, I'm kind of going by what I'm used to looking at on this one. They're a little different. And the other problem is it doesn't seem like it goes in far enough for me to actually see it out of the driver's seat. Maybe there's something I can do to play with that a little bit, but I got it pushed in like that as far as it'll go, so almost like I need to wedge it so it, I don't know. I just wanted to take a peek. I don't know if I'm sold on it. Anyways, on to what we're doing, working on door jams, and because I already did the first side first, the other side first, I know I got to take a bunch of stuff apart. So door switch has got to come out, and for the door switch to come out, this has got to come back off, which I've already put on and taken off and put on. Now I got to take it off again. We'll take this trim off, we'll take the sill plate off, and then we can start making dust and breathing dust and wearing our fingertips off and not really having fun. All right, got everything removed. Now the next step is try to hang this in here, keep some of the dust out of the car. Unfortunately, if I would have been any smarter, you know, not. I just had all the interior, I didn't have the carpet out, I guess. I had all the seats out. If I would have been thinking, I would have done this then. But I wasn't thinking. Keep some of the dust from going inside. So what I did before is I kind of attacked it with the DA a little bit. Oh, I got to take that door switch off still. And then, you know, I got some wire wheels, and it's just a lot of hand sanding. Now I think I said the plan is to shoot this stuff with gray epoxy, so I don't really care about getting it to bare metal. Some of it ends up going to bare metal, but I got to get all this loose, like this orange for sure. It just flakes off fairly easy most places. Of course, not in that spot I'm showing you. But the orange has got to come off for sure, and then try to get, you know, any rust cleaned up and any goop cleaned up. Anyways, we'll just get it the best we can, try to feather out some of this stuff, so if we ever do paint it, it's good to go. Just so we got a good before and after. Lots of orange and yellow, and yeah, lots of yellow, some black. So trying to do away with the multicolored door jams. Here we go. All right, after maybe, I don't know, I've been timing myself, but maybe 10 minutes, I got this kind of outer jam kind of mostly done. I shall probably hit it with some Scotch-Brite, just kind of get into this little spot. I haven't been able to get very good. This is kind of what I end up with, or what I'm going for. Said I don't really care that it's bare metal. I care mostly about getting it feathered and getting the orange paint off there, and then the bare metal just happens when I'm doing that. Man, what a dirty, nasty job. I am getting there though. I have most of it. I'll probably go over the whole thing with like a Scotch-Brite, but I still have to do this inner post right here. Not post, but jam. In there, I kind of got to get that with Scotch-Brite. Got most of this down here and most of the door, so really this is all I have to do and then touch everything up. All right, it's a couple days later, and if there's one thing I am, it's consistently inconsistent. I'm easily distracted. I got busy doing some other stuff. I still haven't finished my door jamb sanding project. It's really close. We'll look at that here in a second and hopefully get her knocked out before too much longer. But the FedEx man just showed up with another big box, and I like big boxes, like I said earlier. This one I've been looking forward to. It is Golden Star Classic Auto Parts. Hopefully it's what I wanted it to be. Chevy 55 rear bumper smooth. This is the part I'm a little worried about right here where it says WO chrome. Hopefully, or WOCH. Hopefully this doesn't mean without chrome, because it's supposed to be a chrome bumper. So I probably screwed up the order or something and got a bare metal one instead. Let's open it up and find out, I guess. Please be chrome. Please be chrome. It's gotta be chrome. I ordered chrome. Took on a little damage here, it looks like, and also got some oil or something on it, but hopefully the contents are still good. Looks chrome, baby! Got some sort of oil coating on it, it seems like. I just keep it protected. All right. Get this oil cleaned off it and see what we have. All right, got her cleaned off. And to be honest with you, other than the fact that I was excited when I opened it that it was actually chrome and I didn't screw it up, I wasn't super stoked about how the chrome looked. Like it just didn't look super shiny or really like quality chrome. But I got all the oil coating cleaned off there now, and I think I'm pretty happy with how she looks. Nice and shiny. I don't see any, flaws or anything really once I got her buffed off. So I am stoked. Of course, I don't know at all how it's going to fit. We'll get to that here in a second, but I need to find or probably go buy some hardware, and then we'll put this bad boy on that bad boy and see what she looks like. All right, found some hardware and I struggled a little bit, but we got the bumper on the car. Let's check it out. There we go. And I don't know, I think it looks good, fine, okay. To be honest, I thought I was going to be like, oh man, it's a bumper. I guess I'm so used to seeing it without a bumper. This is like literally the first time I've ever put a bumper on this car. But yeah, I mean, I like it, but it just wasn't the wow factor I thought it was going to be, I guess. It doesn't fit the best, but I don't know if that's more the car's problem or the bumper's problem. As you just look from the back, I guess it looks okay. If you look to the right side and the left side, you can see a little bit of difference, like right here. Like you see this gap, and there's not really a gap on that side. But if you look across the trunk line, it's pretty straight. It could maybe go up a little bit on that side, even with the trunk line, but not very much. But so I could do that a little bit. I'd have to warble out the holes and then try to push it up just a hair. But then if you look on the side over there, it's pretty, even with this line, and that's kind of how it is on the other side. But this side, the bumper actually tucks underneath this body line. And on this side, we're outside of the body line, but we're pretty even with the body line this way. We have like a finger's width gap right there. And then even though this one's like super tight right here, we still have that finger's gap right there. I don't know, I guess being, I'm just going for kind of rough looking. I'm probably just gonna leave it how it is. I did shim it that way. Like I have a couple shims under the frame mount on this side, trying to force it this way a little bit, and it moved it a hair. Anyways, we're gonna call it probably home for now. If I get tired of looking at it, I might mess with it some more, but it's actually kind of a bugger to get on there and off there by yourself. How it mounts is you just have some brackets that go around the edge of the frame, and so it's a tight squeeze, and then there's a rivet there that has to go around. And technically, I guess there is a mounting kit where you mount the side of it, and maybe that would help if that was pulled in, but I wasn't planning on putting those on there. Anyways, for now, we're gonna call the bumper home and done, and means I'm doing a checklist. We're gonna come over here and check it off the list. Where's bumper? Rear bumper. Ordered, needs installed. Well, bam! All right, back to sanding door jambs. You guys don't need to watch any more of that probably, but I still got my mess. I'm 3/4, 9/10. I'm close to done. I got one more jam ready to go, so I'll get on that. Well, I think I'm gonna call this good enough on the door jamb sanding project. This was one of those things that I feel like you could just keep going forever and never really know if it's good enough. It's not perfect. I probably did way more than I needed to do in a lot of spots and not enough in some other places, but we got most of the orange paint that flakes off. Tried to feather everything out. A lot of it's taken pretty much down to bare metal, so I know those spots are good enough. There's weather strip that's gonna go along here, so some of it's buried. I think it's gonna be, like I said, good enough. So that's this side. I kept most of the dust and stuff out of the car, but I'm gonna come through and kind of clean the car out now because I'm done sanding. I don't know when I'm gonna actually try to paint the door jambs. I don't have time today. Maybe this next coming weekend. In the meantime, I'm gonna get the car cleaned back out because I might drive it a little bit or do some other stuff. Anywho, I don't know. We talked about the plan. We put a bumper on and we did some sanding on the door jambs. I think I'm gonna try to call this one here. Come back real soon because I think we're gonna be working on exhaust next. See you then.